You're listening to The Upland Rookie, a podcast presented by Final Rise, Onyx Hunt, Gunner Kennels, Inukshuk, and NSTRA, National Shoot to Retrieve Association. And you're listening to episode 93 with Tyler Sladen, Quail Hawk. As the season approaches, if you have not already downloaded and signed up for Onyx Hunt, I would highly encourage you, get over to onyxhunt.com, become a member today. Onyx Hunt, as you've heard in my previous episode with Ben Bredigan from Onyx, it is one of the essential items that an upland hunter needs to open up thousands of acres of publicly accessible land to them. It's going to help you find new public land, open up new areas for you and your bird dog. Check out onyxhunt.com and become a member today. Use promo code ROOKIE20, save you 20% off your Onyx subscription. Also, Inukshuk, professional dog food. Been feeding my dogs Inukshuk for quite a while now. It is the only food I will feed my Brittany's. They are transitioning from the 26-16 formula over to the 30-25 formula as we head into the hunting season. Inukshuk professional dog food, their company is top-notch. They've been great to work with, and they are producing a high-quality, high-packed protein formula. That is an amazing, amazing formula for bird dog of any kind. So check them out, inukshukpro.com. Also, NSTRA. If you're looking to extend your hunting season, check out NSTRA, NSTRA. NSTRA.org is an incredible organization running some incredible trials. I guarantee you, jump on to NSTRA.org, you're going to be able to find a trial near you and be able to jump in with an amazing group of people and just learn more about bird dogs, training, hunting, trialing. It's a great community that I've truly enjoyed over the last several years, and I would head over to NSTRA, become a member today, and check out a trial. I know we're heading into hunting season, but they got trials in the fall. They also have them in the spring and really throughout the year. And so check out NSTRA and become a member today. Lastly, Gunner Kennels. Man's best friend deserves man's best kennel. Gunner Kennels is the only kennel I will be rocking for my bird dogs. Built tough, built here in the USA. An amazing company. Edison has just really perfected the dog kennel, and all the accessories that go with it, fan kits, orthopedic pads, food crates, you name it. Gunner Kennels is a top brand in the market, producing the best dog kennels, hands down, on the market today. I've said it before, and I will say it again. I've used every single major kennel brand on the market. Gunner Kennels is by far the best I've ever used. From the grippy feet, the doors, the latches, the vents, the drain plug. It's the little details, the built-in handles. It's the little details of this kennel that make it above and beyond every other kennel I've used on the market. So check out Gunner Kennels. Also, check out their brand new Gunner bumper that's on the website now at gunner.com. All right, friends, we're going to keep rolling here, and welcome to episode 93 of the podcast. I'm super excited to have Tyler Sladen joining us today. Tyler and I, I've been trying to... Tyler's been on my list to get on the show for quite a while, and so I was glad I was able to finally get him on and sit down, chat bird dogs, chat falconry specifically today. And so taking a little bit different spin, we chat both those things, bird hunting, walking, but also falconry and what that looks like. And so this is a really, really fun episode. I did want to mention in the last several weeks since we've recorded, Tyler did end up losing one of his dogs, Aja, one of his terriers. And so just our hearts go out to Tyler. I know that's a tough thing to go through for any dog handler, to lose one of their companions, lose one of their favorite dogs. And so, Tyler, I'm sorry for your loss of Aja. I know it's a tough one, man. And so, just know our hearts, our prayers go out with you. Losing a dog again is never easy. And so, sorry for your loss. But yeah, let's rally around Tyler and send him some well wishes. Other than that, guys, we got September 1st is coming up here just around the corner. We'll keep seeing photos you're posting, whether it's you're traveling to a new hunting spot, whether you're packing your truck, you are scoping out things on Onyx, whatever you're experiencing. I'd encourage you guys to tag the Upland Rookie Podcast in your posts, in your stories, in your reels, whatever it might be. I would love to reshare some of those for you and just get a peek into what our audience is experiencing, what you guys are heading into as we jump into a brand new season. It's exciting as August kind of turns a corner and gets ready to close out. It's fun to see, the excitement and the plans that are being made as we've, again, turn a corner from summer, whether it's training plans, roading, exercise, endurance. Maybe you got a young dog you picked up and you are, getting ready to drop in a field and go chase some birds. There's a lot of excitement. Cherish these moments. It's something special that we get to do. I've said that before. Let's not take for granted the opportunity that we get to chase wild birds on public land. That's a special thing we get to do. And so cherish it. Whether you journal, capture things by video, notes, photos, whatever it is, take a moment, breathe, kind of just appreciate what you'll get to step into over these next couple of weeks if you are kicking off your season here on September 1st. Anyways, we're going to jump right into the episode. Don't forget to head over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, leave a rating and review of the podcast. Would love that. Would help the show keep growing. But until then, we're going to jump into episode 93 with Tyler Sladen. How's your summer been going?
It's pretty good. It's the hottest it's ever been here, but
Okay.
the rain's been decent, so
Okay.
I'll take the good with the bad.
Yeah. Does that mean you got to get out super early or super late to run dogs and all that?
You can't even right now. I mean,
Oh, really?
we just set records for how hot it's been. I mean, some days are like 108, 100, 111. So that sets your lows, even at your lows at before sunrise at 75,
Jeez.
which within 20 minutes it's already 80.
Yeah, dude, that's brutal. That is brutal. Well, Tyler, thanks for jumping on the podcast with me, man. It's been a long time coming, and glad we could finally make the time to make it happen. So appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Tyler, why don't you first off put us on the map where you're talking to us from, and then just give us a little overview of who you are.
So I'm calling in from Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is like north central New Mexico. So down here, I hunt mostly scaled quail and Mearns quail. We do have gambles and bob whites as well. I just don't get out there for them as much as the others. Got a kennel with 14 dogs, and I've got a young goshawk that I'm raising up right now to hunt over them to replace the late hash brown who hunted over my birds for years. Mostly we chase upland birds over gun dogs with a goshawk, and then we shoot over the dogs as well.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, that's very cool. I'm excited to unpack the falconry side of things a little bit more. Definitely have not chatted about that on this podcast, and so I'm excited to unpack that a little bit more. But first, I'd love to start with everyone's kind of story, kind of your upbringing a little bit, what got you into upland hunting. Can you unpack that for us a little bit more of your story? What got you down the road of chasing upland birds?
So what got me into the upland side of things? I mean, I came into working dogs through beagles and tree dogs and earth dogs. But in falconry, I started out mostly hunting squirrels and rabbits over terriers, dachshunds, and beagles, and stuff like that. And after a little while of that, I had met some people that were flying over bird dogs on quail, and then I got a bird that started catching quail, and I was mostly flying over their dogs. So I went out and I got a started setter from someone, and then another setter, and flew over them for a while. And I learned real quick that free dogs were free for a reason, and I had some help from a gun dog trainer up in Missouri, and he got me sorted with It was a field trial washout. Vizsla. He was young, but there was nothing wrong with him. He was just not cut out for horseback field trials. And over that dog, it really like solidified my love for hawk and quail. Up in when I was still in Missouri at the time, and bobwhite up there, like finding little unicorns. And so I loved it so much that I uprooted what I was doing, took a job position down here in New Mexico, and started hunting scaled quail. Um, and through hunting scaled quail, I learned really quick that one close working dog just wasn't enough to consistently
wasn't
produce.
cutting it.
Well, and then the thing that transitioning from gun hunting to falconry that a lot of people don't see and understand is, so in gun hunting, if you go all day and find a covey, it's not a big deal. Like you still got out there, you still hunted, and you still found birds. In falconry, you've got these wait windows that you're working with on your birds that you may only have 1 hour, 2 hours, three on a really well made bird to hunt. And so the longer it takes you to find what you're looking for, your birds get frustrated and they pick up bad behaviors. And you don't have the adversaries that you can train a dog with that's getting frustrated and bored with a bird. You only have pattern and food and positive reinforcement. So if you're not producing quail slips consistently and fast, you're going to have a bird that's going to turn into a bird you don't want. And so,
what kind of behaviors would you see then? Would you see them just push the limits more, go out further? Like what would that look like?
So a hawk that's not getting consistent slips on quail or whatever you're looking for is going to do a few different things. Some of them will learn a behavior called self-hunting, where they just fly off and go hunt by themselves. They've learned that you're useless at producing what they want to hunt, and they're better at finding it on their own.
They're like, see you later.
That's a really hard behavior to come back from. And then the other behavior is it'll kill their confidence. So say if they go out there and only see one quail every 3 days and they don't catch that one quail, their confidence is going to feign, and they're not going to chase quail when they do see them as hard. And then it's really going to just catalyst, because now you've put in miles and hours looking for these quail and your bird chased it 50 feet and gave up. So I started adding more and more big running setters. And once those dogs became made, it catapulted my success on desert quail, because I was fairly successful at bobwhite. I mean, I could go out and catch a bobwhite most days, whereas scaled quail, I was like happy to see them once or twice a week when I was first getting into it. And I had only had the Vizsla, who was very close working. So then once I started picking up setters that were hitting coveys 300, 500 yards out consistently, it just changed everything. And now I like running both those together. Like Trigger, my Vizsla, he's my oldest bird dog currently. He's really good at picking up singles, and he's amazing at it, but he's not going to beat those setters to the covey almost ever. So a lot of times what will happen is setters will find the covey sometimes before we're even done getting the hawk ready and out of the truck.
Wow.
It's just
You're like, slow down, guys.
Yeah, and so it does the opposite of what I was afraid of. Now I have this bird that's like mega confident, knows these dogs are going to produce birds, and it got to a point where we were catching falconry limits pretty much every day. And so to go from like seeing quail 2-3 times a week to maybe catching one a week to catching 2 to 3 a day every day, it was just like, we made it, you know.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
I definitely want to unpack the falconry more. I have a couple questions on a little bit more of your story as you got into this. Again, I'm talking falconry and bird hunting, and I guess gun hunting. But was it the bird side of things, or the dog and the foot hunting, gun hunting that got you kind of the starting point for you?
I mean, I hunted my whole life, but hunting over dog that's a whole nother thing. It's a whole nother niche. And so hunting over the birds, which require the dogs, got me more and more into the dogs. And then, I mean, like now, gun to my head, you make me pick birds or dogs, I'm going to pick my dogs. But I learned rather early on that when raising young bird dogs, solidifying that relationship with the dog one-on-one with a gun is much, much easier than trying to throw them into the falconry side of things. Like I won't let a young dog go out with my hawk. I just don't do it. you're not really helping the dog. You're not helping the bird. You might not hurt it, but you're really not helping either. So you're just kind of in the way.
What's the harder side of things? So you got the two different sides. You got the dog side, training them, working them. You got the bird side. When you mold those two together, what's the harder one to again, catch me up. I have no clue how the falconry side of thing works. So what's the harder side, I guess, when you're trying to mesh those two things together?
Well, I mean, dogs can be trained at so many different levels, and so can birds. The bird takes more consistency, more. It definitely takes. They probably take about the same amount of time, but a dog that sits at home for a few days a week and still gets to get out on the weekend and hunt, you're not going to notice too much of a difference. Whereas a goshawk that doesn't get to hunt every single day, you will see the difference. And so, like, especially a young goshawk, whereas I tell everyone and I tell people that I'm helping raise their goshawks, a goshawk that skips a day hunting its first year, it's 2 days to get it back to where you were before you skipped that day.
Oh, wow.
So you skip a week, I mean, you're going to work a while to get back to where you were. And part of that is you're training birds using their weight windows. You're training birds using their metabolism and their patterns. And so if a bird's hunting every day and flying every day, its metabolism's cranking. So then its eagerness and its drive to catch more birds and more rabbits or ducks is higher when it's flown every day. Whereas if it's only flown like once or twice a week, it doesn't have that metabolism. It doesn't have the calories going through it to maintain that energy level.
Okay. So birds, catch me up on the bird side of things. Do they typically eat once a day, twice a day? And then talk about those windows you mentioned a little bit ago. Is it, so you have this basically eating window that you have to kind of time when you're going to go hunt?
Yeah, so they say to fly goshawks on a 22-hour window. So that's one full meal once a day. But I like to feed a small meal in the morning to kind of keep blood sugar high to kind of level out hot behaviors. So goshawks are a lot hotter of a bird. Think like hot like a racehorse or like a walking horse. A little bit. They're just hotter. And so when a goshawk's hot, they can be a little bit more possessive around food. They can be kind of grumpy around dogs, and just whereas if they're less hot, their blood sugar is maintained and a little bit leveled out. They're more polite and pleasant to be around, and they're less loud, and just little behaviors go away, but it makes the overall experience better. So in the morning, typically, like when you're flying a young goshawk, you'll wake up in the morning, weigh your bird, give it a little snack on the lure, and then go to work.
Sorry, you weigh them. Why?
So we're controlling them through their weight. So I'll just use my last goshawk as an example. His name is Hash Brown. He flew best on a 40-degree day around 660 grams. And so 665, he would hunt with me and my dogs fine. But if I wanted to introduce like you or your dogs and things he hadn't seen before, less tolerant at even 5 grams higher in weight. So like I would have to actually probably drop him like 2.5 to 3 grams to kind of introduce new things. And
no way.
Yeah, it gets real technical. And I mean, you can be as technical and obsessive as you want with it. I mean, there's other
even
birds.
But even different grams, like you'll notice different behaviors from the bird.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Years ago, I flew a sharp-shinned hawk, much smaller version of a goshawk, basically. My male sharpshin flew at 86.3 grams. That was like his money weight. He was going to catch sparrows off the fist at that weight. If he hit 86.8, I was like the boogeyman to him. He was terrified of me.
No way.
Yeah, so like the smaller the bird, the smaller the weight window, and the more drastic they act with different subtle weight changes. Most falconers fly what are called Harris hawks or red tails. Some of them have like 30 to 50 gram weight windows, which is huge when you're comparing to like a sharpshin or a goshawk that has 1/10 of a gram to 5 grams. So,
wow.
Falconry
that's super
can get
technical. Oh
insanely technical really fast.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine a dog person weighing their dog every morning and being like, "Well, he
Every
hunts the
hunt.
best at 39.3 pounds." Like,
You know someone's going to try it after listening to this.
maybe. I mean, I'd love to hear how it goes, but
Yeah. Bring a little portable scale with you in the truck.
there's a book called like A Sporting Chance, and the guy, he hunted with cheetahs, and so he talks about controlling cheetahs through weight, like we do a falconry bird.
No way.
And that was always a cool read. And there's more books about that guy and what he did with those cheetahs. But he was hunting like pronghorn and jackrabbits with a
Wow.
cheetah at heel.
Oh my gosh. That's what's that book called again?
Sporting Chance, and then there's
Okay.
the other one that dives into it a little bit deeper is Tales of an Indian Prince.
Okay. Very cool. Well, we're already kind of into the falconry side of things. We're going to keep going because this is super fascinating. Take me through. You mentioned a couple different species of birds. What birds have you personally had? Maybe can you mention some differences between the different species of hawks you've had?
So I've trained red tails, Harris hawks. I've trained kestrel falcons, Merlin falcons. I've trained Optomato falcons.
Wow.
My main thing now, and what will be for a long time, is I like goshawks, and there's a few different flavors of goshawks. Like my last goshawk was what is now classified as an American goshawk from the mountains of New Mexico, and my current goshawk is a Russian goshawk from the Ural
Hmm.
Mountains of Russia.
Oh,
Both
wow.
goshawks, they're separate species now, and then the Russians birds, there's two Russian subspecies. So like depends how far
Wow.
into it you want to get. Overall, they train pretty much the same. They're just like subtle differences in size, wing shape, and a little bit some behaviors, but they hunt the same things. They're relatively the same bird as far
Okay.
as the training aspect.
So will you stick with the goshawks moving forward?
Yeah, and so the reason I like goshawks so much, they're very forgiving as far as accipiters go. So goshawks fall under the classification of accipiters. They're very forgiving compared to like a Cooper's or a Sharpshin. They can hunt. There isn't an upland bird in the United States that a goshawk cannot catch.
Hmm.
They can catch them, and they can do it off the fist. Now, they'll have more trouble with some more so than others, but generally I can go anywhere and gun hunt with my dogs, and then when I'm done gun hunting, I can pick up my bird and I can go hawk whatever I want. If I want to
Hmm.
go catch ducks, cottontails, pheasant, quail, sharptail, they're all on the menu.
Wow.
Whereas like a red tail, generally like you're pretty much stuck catching squirrels and rabbits. Or a Harris
Okay.
hawk. Harris hawks are a little bit more versatile in catching like some can catch quail and some can catch pheasant, but they don't do it the way a goshawk will.
And
They'll
is
need
that a
more.
combo of? So I'm so sorry. Is that a combo of like speed and strength of the bird and size, or?
Yeah, speed.
Okay.
Goshawks are catching things right off your glove in a drag race, and they're just
Hmm.
outright faster than pretty much any game bird. Now, game birds obviously have tricks up their sleeve to evade goshawks, but in a straight line, like if you took any game bird out to the middle, like the Saharan desert, and cut one loose, it's not going to outfly a goshawk. So
Hmm.
that's why it's goshawks for me. And you can get them to accept other people and other people's dogs. So I do enjoy that. I like flying over my buddies' dogs. It like it's not them watching you hunt at that point. It's they're running their dog and your bird's catching birds over their dog. So
Hmm.
I enjoy that a lot.
That's awesome. Can you talk about the process of I guess getting into falconry? And I think I've heard you on a different podcast share about, do you have to like catch the bird as a baby in a tree and get it real young? Can you get them older?
So when you're first getting into falconry, you're what's called an apprentice. So like say let's just like make up a scenario. Say you took your test and you are now my apprentice. Come September and October, you and I'd have to be with you. We'd go out and we'd trap you either a red tail or a kestrel, depending on what you wanted to do. Those are the birds an apprentice can fly. And you would train this red tail to probably hunt rabbits. You can catch pheasant if you can set them up the right way to catch pheasant. They're not going to catch pheasant off your glove, but and so you would train a bird under my supervision for 2 years. And then once you're done, if I think you're ready, I would sign off on your permit. You can get what's called a general permit.
Hmm.
And with your general permit, you can pretty much have any native bird you want, other than like bald eagles, for the most part. And so then you can kind of not do whatever you want, but like you don't have to listen to me anymore if you don't want to.
Okay. You've
And
kind of
so
graduated that apprenticeship.
you've graduated your apprenticeship, and so that's when you can start pulling baby birds from nests if you want. So that process is called imprinting. That's a more technical process. It's arguably one of the hardest ways to make a bird, but once that bird is made, the work is generally worth it. So as an apprentice, you're trapping a wild red tail and you're training it, and you can be out hunting 2 weeks later. It's not
Wow.
a lengthy, hard process. It's consistency and pattern and reading the bird in front of you, more so than training it for a full year like you would
Wow.
a
So
hand-raised goshawk.
Yeah. So trapping a wild bird, you're saying that's obviously an adult then, right? It's not
No,
doesn't take,
so
it's
they're
not a long process then to get hunting with it, or?
so you're not trapping adults. So we never take birds from the breeding population. So
Oh, okay.
you're trapping a juvenile bird, and they're colored completely differently. So you're trapping a bird in its first year, and in the falconry world, we would call that a passage bird or a brown bird.
Okay.
It's a bird in its first year. So like you'll
Okay.
see my current goshawk, he's completely brown. Next year he'll be blue. So
Oh, no way.
or silver, but it's like a bluish
Okay.
silver.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so again, even those juvenile birds, they're pretty trainable where you can get them hunting with you pretty quickly then?
Yeah, they're like a ball of Play-Doh. They're very moldable. Like
Okay.
depending on how late in the year you trap, like say you trap a September bird, arguably they would be a little bit more trainable than say a January bird.
Oh, wow.
Because the January bird's been living on his own. He's been surviving, whereas a September bird left the nest maybe a month ago and has been eating rats off a telephone pole. Like
Yeah.
he hasn't had much success, but he hasn't had much failure either.
Okay. Okay. Now the transition, you mentioned rabbits before. You kind of start out on birds catching rabbits. The transition from doing like land animals like that to birds in the training process, what's that like?
So it just depends what you're flying. So like a red tail is very easily motivated to catch squirrels and rabbits. They eat that on their own. Some people have gotten red tails to like follow them through the trees, and then when a pheasant flushes underneath the bird that's following you, and your red tail now has like an 80-foot advantage, and they will catch pheasant that way, whereas like a goshawk is going to take a pheasant off a dog point.
Okay. Okay. Tyler, why don't you walk us through, again, I have not done much research on falconry, and I'm sure a lot of listeners don't know what that looks like as well. Can you walk us through what would, take your goshawk, you're hunting with your dogs, the goshawk, how does that look for like, paint a picture for us of that experience of hunting with the dogs and the birds at the same time?
So the average hunt, first thing I do when I get to the field, I turn on the GPS for the bird, put the GPS on the bird's leg. It's like a small little transmitter, and then he's got a backup old school beep beep transmitter as well. Get that situated, and then I put the bird on the roof of my truck, get all the collars on the dogs, cut the dogs loose, and then so call him down to my fist. He'll sit on my fist, and we'll walk in the direction the dogs went. And then when a dog goes on point, I'm going to walk straight to that dog on point. And sometimes, so when you're starting out, they're going to ride your glove the whole way there, hopefully, and you'll flush the quail, and they'll chase the quail, and they'll catch the quail, and then once they've caught the quail, they'll usually drag it down low into like a bush or like under a log or something, just so that like ravens and other birds aren't harassing them. And so I'll walk up with what's called a lure with cleaned meat on it, and I'll put that down, and he's going to step over to the lure and start eating the clean meat. And I'm going to take what he had just caught and put it in my bag, and then we're going to keep going. I'm only giving him a little bit of meat in trade, but they're not really good at math, so they don't. They don't know. As long as the trade-off process is clean, they think it's a fair trade. And from there, after that, he'll clean his feet, he'll clean his beak, and he'll hop back up to my glove, and hopefully another dog's on point by then.
And then you keep going.
Yeah, and then so sometimes after a bird has really learned pointing dogs, like my old bird Hash Brown, in his second and third season, if he saw a dog go on point like 300 yards away, he'd fly to him, and he'd sit on the closest bush he could. And at that point, the covey of quail or whatever it is terrified, So like you can take your sweet time at that point. But sometimes my older Vizsla and Hash Brown, they don't need me at that point. They're like, whatever.
It's just
And
like,
he'll the bird will jump down and he'll try to flush the quail himself and then chase him. And the dog's like,
okay.
heck yeah, I'm just gonna follow this bird. And then next thing you know, you're watching like quail tear across the desert, and then a hawk and dog in tow, and then like
Wow.
you'll see the quail put in, and then sometimes the goshawk gets so excited and he flushes them again before you even get halfway there.
Oh wow.
Not ideal, but it's cool to see like, all right, these two have figured it out, and they've voted me off the island.
Yeah. They're like, we're done with you, Tyler.
Yeah. And that applies to like, let's like look at a different type of falconry. So like when I was flying red tails over terriers and dachshunds, if my dogs were treeing like 300 yards away in the woods, my red tail would fly straight to the dogs on a tree and like wait for that squirrel to make a mistake and grab him out of the tree and bring it down.
Wow.
The birds are really good at learning what's going on with the dogs, and they learn really quick. And I've always loved that relationship of the hawk and dog, or falcon and dog, or whatever. And the other thing with falconry, there's just so many ways you can do falconry that you could never touch all of them in a lifetime.
That's so cool. Back up real quick. The first scenario. So again, the bird is riding on your glove pretty much the whole time, or are they flying independently?
Ideally, with a goshawk, they should be on my glove the whole time unless actively pursuing something. So
okay.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, you can train him to follow and all that, but like ideally, he's on my glove and we're walking into dog points, and just like you would with a shotgun, just swap the shotgun with a
bird. Wow.
With a bird.
Wow. And then your dogs, do they need to like steady I mean, there's no shot, so steady to bird, like the hawk going in for the covey rise, or how does that work with your dogs?
So they'll ignore the covey and they'll follow the hawk usually. So I let them follow the hawk for a multitude of reasons. As much as I'd love to keep them fully broke, if my bird catches a rabbit far away or a duck far away or a quail far away or whatever, he's now at risk for ravens, eagles, bigger hawks, coyotes, bobcats. So I like my dogs to stay with him.
With the bird, almost as a protection.
Yeah, because so in a straight line chase, I'd say on average, he probably flies about 65 miles an hour. So like,
wow,
he can get gone pretty quick, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't run that fast. I mean, I run decently fast, but I don't run that fast. And I generally run to get up there just so that no issues arise. And I don't want him to he'll pluck a quail clean. Like it'll look like a grocery store chicken if you take too long to get there. And so I want to get there and get it clean. And so that I have a nicely like clean quail when I get, or like a fully feathered quail when I get there, and get a nice photo of the dog and the hawk after. And then generally the quail from today becomes food tomorrow for him. So it doesn't matter if he plucks it, but people think he's like shredding it, but all he does is pull feathers off. It's
because they don't want that. They just want to get to the meat.
Yeah, but they'll fully clean a quail. Like there will be no feather left unplucked before they start eating.
That's awesome. That is awesome. What with someone who's, let's say, curious about falconry, who's interested in it, who maybe someone wants to get in it, is there like how does one even go about that? Are there associations? Are there people? Are there groups? Like what is out there for people to learn more about it and get connected?
So for starters, there's a website called Modern Apprentice. That website is a gold mine. Has like every ailment, every bird, every process, and it's just broken down Barney style for anyone to read about. But outside of that, each state's got an organization for the most part. Every state except Hawaii pretty much has a falconry club, and through that, they usually have what's called an apprentice coordinator. And you can reach out to them, and they'll put you in touch with someone willing to take on apprentices. Now, your falconry experience can be very different depending on who sponsors you. There's great teachers, and there's teachers you should just learn from that. As a bad example, I'd never want to be like this guy. But yeah, so there's an apprentice coordinator, and they'll put you into, some states are better than others. Like Arizona is an incredible state for getting people into it. Indiana's a good one. Texas. There's a few states that just have really good clubs, and there's some states that it's a glorified picnic group, and they don't really have much organization. And so from there, they'll put you in touch. And generally, most people are very gun shy to taking on apprentices, and it's not because they want to gatekeep the sport. It's because everyone and their brother wants to be a falconer until they learn how much goes into it. And so most people, like, I won't sponsor somebody that hasn't spent a season hunting with me. I just come out and
gotta
hunt
know
with me.
them, their personality.
I gotta, because first of all, if I sponsor you, the first question anyone's gonna ask you when you do something wrong 5 years from now as a falconer is, who is your sponsor? And it's gonna reflect on me.
Sure.
And that's not a big deal, but I really want to know somebody before I sign off on being their mentor for 2 years, because it's really involved. You'll be over your sponsor's house a bunch with your bird, and you can only diagnose so many problems over the phone. Like it takes a sponsor going out and seeing their bird hunt. And so and then there's a national organization as well. It's called NAFA, North American Falconry Association, and they can put you in touch with your state's club. If anyone reaches out to me, I generally help them find their state's club. A lot of the clubs can be kind of hard to find information on. So
okay. Have you sponsored anyone recently, or have you gone down that road yet?
So I've had 3 apprentices in the last 10 years, and that have made it through the whole process. I've had a few that they're all gung ho and they take their test, and I was like, I just want you to hunt with me for a year, and that's too much for them. And so, oh well, sorry.
Sure.
I'm not going to just hand out falconry permits. It's something I really care about.
Sure.
So my apprentices all live here. One of my apprentices just moved to South Dakota, so he's going to have to find someone up there to finish his apprenticeship. But
okay.
The other 2 live here, and it's a husband and wife, Dalton Bridger and Hannah Bridger. They're both well into their general years and doing very well now. So Dalton flies goshawks, and he just got his first setter the other day. So he's hooked on the Quail Hawk thing, which is as far as falconry goes, there's less than 10 people right now that are probably catching quail in the whole country.
In the whole country?
Yeah, it's a small group consistently. There's falconers that might catch 1 or 2 quail a year by accident, but the people that are out there doing it on purpose over bird dogs, I can think of 8, maybe 9.
Because you need the dog component to catch quail with hawks.
Much. And that's what makes it hard for a lot of falconers, because you got to think, you get into it, and most people start with rabbits, so they get a rabbit dog, or they don't get a dog at all, and then they're like, well, I'm a general now, I want to catch quail. They don't have a bird dog, and like I was hitting on earlier, that producing slips within an hour or 2 is almost essential to starting a bird on quail. So to do that one without a bird dog it's doable in some urban areas that have quail or pheasant, but to do it consistently or to get reflushes, you're fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, that's crazy. Do you find it more so with hunting with the hawk and the dogs? Are you covering typically more ground because of the bird than you would if you just went out with your dogs? Does the bird add more? Like the dogs are covering more ground, more range in a given day?
It's probably about the same. In a 2-hour hunt, I usually cover, or 2 to 3 hour hunt, I usually cover 6 to 8 miles on average, I'd probably say.
Okay.
And that's a normal evening for us. So with the dogs, honestly, probably cut down on your walking, because whereas you'd be grid searching and doing quail death marches, with the dogs, I'm walking from dog point to dog point, ideally. So,
wow. That's so cool, man. That's so cool. What's if I had to ask you, what's your favorite part about falconry? Is it the dog and the bird component? Like for you, what's the thing that just gets you excited day after day?
Just when it goes perfect, which is almost never. But
that's what keeps driving you, at least.
Yeah, I call goshawks a heroin hawk, because you're just chasing this perpetual dragon. Because in your head you paint this picture, and the picture you paint is dog slams on point, second dog comes into honor, either you have a flushing dog come in and flush, or you come in and flush, and bird pulls it off the rise, and everyone cheers and claps, and it's perfect. And it does go that way a lot, but when you when you start thinking about, well, it's a 180-day season, how many days did it go that way? You're like, damn, it really didn't go that way that many days. So that to me is perfect. I love that, but I also love when like I meet up with some dude I just talked to on the internet and they're like, I want to get into falconry, and
Now's a great reminder to sign up, become an elite member of Onyx Hunt today. Use code Rookie20, save you 20% off your membership with Onyx Hunt. An elite member has so many perks and benefits to it. You get all the good stuff as far as the digital mapping system, which is hands down the best one out there. But you also get discounts and promotions for tons of different brands out on the market. Things from Final Rise, First Light Hunting, what is it? The Hunting Dog Podcast Training Series, Upland Institute. There's so many things. The list goes on and on and on. So check out and become an elite member of Onyx Hunt today.
They've got a well-trained dog, and I fly over their dog, and catching quail over other people's dogs is another thing for me that really like drives it home.
Are people's eyes just this big when they see it for the first time?
Oh yeah, they love it, and I've never seen someone come out and witness it for what it is and be like, "Well, that was underwhelming." That's never been their reaction. So I definitely love being able to fly over other people's dogs, because then they go home and they're like, "Well, I don't need to raise this dog with hawk. I can go get a hawk and then kind of integrate it." My buddy Jake Thomas in Kansas, he's been a gun hunter over bird dogs most of his life, and now he's flying goshawks over longtime gun dogs. He's a falconer now, and
That's awesome.
Stories like that really drive me.
That's so cool. And is there generally any issues though? So let's say I took my dogs out with your bird. Is there any adjustment period for those dogs with throwing the bird in the mix, or is that pretty smooth for the most part, depending on the dog?
You're just going to want to have a tight handle on them. If a dog's like fully woe broke, I mean, that cuts down on like 99% of issues. Especially with upland birds, where I do see a lot more issues and where it can be a little bit trickier integrating it is like on rabbits. Because when a hawk catches a rabbit, it just makes this guttural like exorcism scream. And that just hits arousal for some dogs, and like some dogs just can't. And when you got a dog in there munching on a rabbit that has a hawk attached to it, like hawks are very fragile, so you can run into some issues there. Whereas like a quail, like if your dog ran in on my hawk with a quail, he's just gonna fly away with that quail. Like he's not gonna just like sit there and let this dog steal his quail.
Sure. Right on. Last question on falconry, I think for now. Now, I think you mentioned you can hunt pretty much any upland bird. Like, can you load up your truck, go to Nebraska and hunt sharptails with your dogs and your bird?
Yep. You'll just have to get a health certificate for your bird for some states, like Nebraska's one, Colorado's one. But yeah, you can. Same hunting license. You're just out there with a bird instead of a gun.
Wow, that's pretty awesome, man. That's definitely on my list to witness someday, because that sounds pretty incredible when it, like we said, when it all works out and kind of all comes together.
I generally, when I have a new bird, I try not to invite many people that haven't seen it before, because I want to show, like, I want their first impression of falconry to be perfect, and it's like you end up beating it. They don't even know what they're looking at, but like you still want it to be perfect, and that one can be kind of hard on. I can be hard on myself about that. Like if it goes slightly wrong, I'm like, sorry, and they're like, no, this is really cool. I'm like,
yeah. I'm sure it's an experience. How what's the lifespan on a goshawk?
In captivity, they can live like 25 years. If you're
hunting
them, if you're hunting them every day though, and you're hunting them hard, like that is a very unrealistic expectation. Birds die very easily. Like all it takes is hitting a barbed wire fence at 60 and it's over. Or a coyote coming in on it on a rabbit, it's over. Like you don't. They weigh 1.5 pounds. Like there is very room.
There's not much to them.
There's not much room to fix sicknesses and ailments and injuries. Like a wing injury or a leg injury is a very daunting process to repair.
I bet. That's awesome, man. Catch us up on last season. What were maybe some highlights from last season for you? And I also like to someone who hunts as much as you do. What's something maybe you learned last year that was new for you as a hunter, as a falconer, whatever it might be? Just catch us up on maybe what were some highlights and maybe what were some of your takeaways from last year.
So last year was a long season. So since Hash Brown passed away last spring, I took last season kind of a step back from falconry. I didn't want to raise another bird, which is a very immersive process. It consumes your summer and whole winter. So I was like, I'm gonna check off some bucket list gun hunts because I won't have a hawk. I did end up flying a buddy's goshawk for like a month, but she only wanted to catch jackrabbits, so I ended up giving her back. I was like, this isn't what I want.
Sure.
So I went up to Minnesota I wanted to see the true Northwoods. Like, I'm from New England, but I wanted to see the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I wanted to see Minnesota. So I went up there and I was able to scratch off spruce grouse over Kira, which was the last upland bird in the country for her. I have now shot every upland bird over her, and it was like a goal of mine that it was nice to finally do that.
So the spruce grouse was the last one you checked off?
It was the last one.
Wow.
It was a cool experience. We ended up getting on that hunt. We got 2 rough grouse and a spruce grouse, and then
Wow.
I missed a woodcock, which would have been cool, but I definitely killed the tree. Then we also went up to we went and hunted ptarmigan in Colorado. That was a great time. I ended up getting altitude sickness and COVID at the same time on that hunt.
Oh, I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah, that was
Dude, altitude sickness alone is rough.
Yeah, I do not recommend. That was a very crazy experience in itself, but it was cool to. I've hunted ptarmigan before, but it's just take gun specific trips. That was nice, and then so after Minnesota and after ptarmigan, I was like, maybe I should go for every upland bird in one season, and I came super close. I only came one bird shy of doing it. I wasn't able to get out to California and hunt mountain quail, but
okay.
I just got in the truck and I just didn't stop. We hit like every state, and it was probably one of the best seasons of my life. Don't get me wrong, I miss falconry dearly, but it was fun. It was a break that I was able to focus on the dogs and just hunt everything from Montezuma quail to sage grouse to spruce grouse. And then
that's how you put 100,000 miles in your truck, right?
Yeah, I bought my truck brand new last August, and I just hit 93,000 yesterday.
Gosh.
So I definitely did some driving. We ended up finishing the year in Georgia on Plantation Bobwhite, and that was definitely a cool experience. It was different. I've hunted bobwhite in so many different states, but like it's nothing like down there. It's seeing 5 coveys in an hour was like a normal thing down there. It was crazy.
Dang.
And it was such beautiful, beautiful terrain. Something I learned, I don't know. I think I definitely learned just life's too short to hunt with people you don't like, and just focus on the people you do like hunting with, and getting to all those states and linking up with people that I've enjoyed hunting in past seasons with. It's just nice to like continue that trend. And I definitely learned that hunting with the right people, it's just a way different experience. Just people that are just always positive, always just happy to see dogs work, and couldn't care if you have a 1 covey 19-mile day or have a 19 covey 10-mile day. They don't care. They're just those people that are always a good person to lean on. So I got to hunt with a lot of friends.
That's awesome.
Last year, and I definitely want to focus more on hunting with those same people year after year.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. I mean, the community and the friendships you form, it's a special thing.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, I've hunted with a lot of people. I didn't end up really not that they were bad people. I just didn't jive with it, and it's fine, you know.
Sure.
So finding those people you do like hunting with and focusing on those hunts is definitely something that more people should probably focus on too.
Absolutely. So this year, you have a bird now. Are you going to be focusing more on the falconry side of things, over versus gun hunting, or what are you thinking for this coming season?
This year it'll be very centric around my bird. I'm gonna start the year up in the prairie states hunting sharptail and huns and young pheasant. Which is another cool thing about falconry is our seasons are different. So like
Oh,
if I want to go hunt half-grown pheasant on September 1st with a hawk, I can. And if he
oh
catches
well,
a hen, it's not a big deal. Um, and you got to remember, baby birds catch baby birds, and like it's a natural
sure,
progression of their training. Like making them wait until everything's like a full-grown late winter rooster wouldn't be fair to the hawk, and
mm,
it's a very steep
sure,
hill to climb. So I'm going to start in the prairie states, and then I'll probably go down to Arizona for a little while and hunt. Arizona's quail season opens pretty early for falconry, and I'll go hunt quail down there with some friends. And then once quail opens here, I'll probably stick around here a while until the snow starts. And I would really like to finish once I get my bird catching quail and other things consistently. I'd like to go hunt some chucker out in Nevada and Idaho with my bird.
oh right on,
Kind of finish the year on that.
yeah. Well, that's exciting, man. Sounds like a fun season ahead for you for sure. Maybe
Yeah,
a little less miles than last year. You think?
I'm gonna try to do a lot less bouncing around and more getting somewhere and staying there a while this year. That's why I threw
Okay.
that tent on top of my truck, and because I realized like over the years, a lot of my driving was like wherever you stay, you're still driving an hour, 2 hours to where you hunt every day.
Yeah, for the motel or something, or
Yeah, so now I want to kind of just stay where I'm hunting, you know.
yeah, that's
Um,
awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask you about your truck and your setup a little bit. And you got that custom box built for the back. You got your tent on top, all that stuff. How's that been for you? Was it purely just out of a decision to be able to stay where you hunt? And how's that setup been working for you?
yeah, I wanted to fit as many dogs as possible without having to bring them into the cab, and then I wanted a charging area, and then I wanted a place to sleep, and then I wanted to be able to carry water, which I was able to hit all those goals. I'm about to add some solar panels to it, and then I actually ordered a trailer, so I'll probably end up moving my tent down to a trailer so that I can
Oh,
drop a trailer and tent and kind of be a little bit more mobile. Don't get
oh,
me
right
wrong,
on.
the tent breaks down super fast and I love it, but to have to break it down every morning while hunting
Sure.
kind of gets annoying unless you're
Yeah.
hunting from where you're sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So the rooftop tent would just be on top of the trailer.
yeah, I would just throw it on top of the trailer. I like
Okay.
having it on the truck, especially when you're driving cross country and you get tired and like
Yeah.
I'm not 20 anymore. I don't sleep in the front seat as well, and I definitely don't bounce back the next day as I used to. So I like to. It's just two latches. You flip the latches, and it pops open, and you fold out a ladder and a panel, and
Yeah.
then you can just crawl up there and sleep. And to be able to just sleep fully sprawled out, I've camped in that thing in like the parking lot of like Love's travel stops. Like, and so to be able to do that comfortably is nice. And then if anyone ever comes up to your truck, you got dogs in the box and they bark, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you're up in the tent, so you're close. So
Little
that was
alert
my other
system.
fear with I hate hotels, and my fear is someone's gonna
Mm.
break into my truck. So I'd rather just sleep in my truck with the dogs, so that if they're
Yeah.
stealing the truck, they're stealing me with it.
You going for a ride?
I'm going for a ride, and they're not gonna like it when I wake up.
Come down over the windshield. What are you doing?
Yeah, Spider-Man on the windshield.
That's awesome, man. Did that hurt your MPGs pretty bad with the tent and all the box, everything, or not too bad?
It cuts you down about 2 miles per gallon. So I used to get like 20, 21. Now I get like 18 and a half. If
Oh, that's not bad.
now you definitely feel it in the wind a little bit more. I drive slow. I'm not one of those people. I try to even though I drive my truck a lot, I try to baby it. So like I'm very much like cruise control set at 70, and whenever I get there, I get there. I'm not
Sure.
doing 85, 90.
With a dog
Just
box and tent.
yeah, I don't want to crash going that fast. And I really like you can watch your to watch your MPGs go from like 19 down to 14. I'm like that's a lot, you know. So I
Yeah.
try to baby it, and then I also like my truck, so I don't want to like beat on it.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. You do a lot of traveling with your dogs. Clearly, you covered a ton of miles last year. What are some maybe some do's and don'ts of traveling with your dogs for hunting, all those kinds of things? I get people reach out to me sometimes, and be like, "Hey, what do you know? I'm traveling to a new state with my dogs. How's that work logistically? Do's, don'ts, things like that." You have any advice for people who are going to be doing some traveling this year with their dogs?
Um, hold on a second. Gamora, stop. It's just me. She woke up and heard somebody. I like to find somewhere shady and just stake them out, and then I like to carry a container of like Timothy hay so that when they're on the stake, they have some like hay to lay down on.
Okay.
Um, Water hydration is really hard on dogs when you're traveling, so I float all their food so that they're at least getting water with their food. And
Just when traveling, or do you do that at home as well?
I don't do it at home as much, but when traveling, I always try to do it just because you hunt them, they get water. You let them out to go to the bathroom, they get water. But then they're in the box just so much. So
Sure.
trying to let them out and get as much water as you can. Um, Other tips, I don't know. I'm still kind of figuring out the system. I have it set up so that I can carry quite a bit of stuff now. Um, I guess I would need more like direct like what do they need help with, like traveling, you know? I'm so used to it that I have my little systems, but like without specific
Yeah.
questions, it's kind of hard to
Yeah, yeah.
kind of
No,
hard.
I think that's some of the good stuff. Yeah, just I mean, like you talked about hydration, things like that. I think that's some of the stuff of yeah for dogs. Will you feed them in the morning? You feed them in the morning kind of guy? Do you feed them extra the night before a hunt? What do you do with that?
I feed them at night. I don't. Yeah, I don't like to feed them in the morning because I don't want them running around with a belly full of food. So I always feed at night. If it's a dog that's hard to keep weight on, I'll feed them twice a day. But other than that, I generally
Yeah.
do once. And then I'm feeding a Nook Chip 3232. So
Oh, you're doing
it's
the high calorie.
in the hunting season. Yeah, I don't feed. We don't feed it here in the off season anymore. We do the 2616 all summer, and um, I like that blend. I definitely miss scooping less like you do with 3232, but
Sure.
it's a lot. It's too hot of a food to feed when they're not even running. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tyler, as we wrap this thing up a little bit, and we haven't touched on dogs really too much. Can you just take me through your dogs a little bit? I know you're a big setter guy. Why the setter for you? I know you still have a Vizsla as well.
I've got one Vizsla who's 8,
Okay,
and
your
then
older one.
yeah,
So
it's
what is it?
Trigger.
Yeah, what is it about the setters for you? When you got quite a few, I know.
So I got 7 setters. I just like how natural they are. As a photographer too, I just find them striking. Like
Mm.
very seldomly do I look at a setter on point and not want to pull out a camera. Like it's just they've done it for me since the beginning, and they continue to do it for me. I like how natural they are. I like how hard they run. Some people think they're not as heat tolerant because of their coats. That's not my experience. It's not many people hunt in a hotter area of the country than I do and live. So I think that's more conditioning and more a little. There's a little bit of a genetic component there too, but
Mm.
um, they kind of check all the boxes. As far as some of mine are really good retrievers, and some of mine couldn't be bothered to pick up a bird. But most of mine from skedaddle lines love retrieving. So um, and then I love them around the house. They're just
Mm.
generally a piece of furniture around the house, and I appreciate that when you have this many dogs, you start to appreciate that more and more. Whereas my 8-year-old Vizsla, who still acts like a puppy and wants to wear my skin, I couldn't do that if I had 14 of those. I'd lose my mind.
It's like you got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, I gotta draw the line somewhere. So yeah, they do it for me, and then I've got a few terriers too. I've got Yag terriers, and I use them as little flushing dogs and retrievers. But I also use them for work as well. And
Yeah.
so I've got 2. I've got Mouse and Aja. They're German terriers.
Okay. And how do you pronounce that again? Yag.
Yag. It's really Yak. If you go like if you want to say it like German way, what What it translates to is Yak in German is hunt, so it's the hunting
Oh,
terrier.
okay. Those things,
So
dude, those things look badass. they,
the,
they look like badass dogs.
I love them. I will always have them. They're well-bred ones are very good retrievers, flushers, and then they've got incredible little noses. And then the nice thing about them is they're tiny.
Yeah.
They're 15-pound little dogs that can do a little bit of everything, and I appreciate that about them. And then in the off season, hunting raccoon, groundhog, and fox with them and stuff
Yeah.
is something that'll occupy my time. But I also
That's
use them
pretty
at
cool.
work for clearing attics, clearing crawl spaces. So
That's cool. I saw that video you posted a couple weeks ago with your terrier. I think you were on the roof and you had to run down to the little. Was that a raccoon that was taken out?
yeah, so
Okay.
what had happened was customer called me. Their dog got into it with a raccoon. Their dog ran the raccoon up onto the roof, and the husband was cool about it. He was just drinking by the pool, just trying to enjoy like his Sunday or whatever. The wife was freaking out, and she wanted that raccoon gone. It hurt her baby. She
Yeah.
wanted it gone. And they called me, and I was like, well, I can probably catch pull it if it's up on the roof, but if it gets away, I'll just stage my dog down there so that it doesn't get away. Um, and so what I did is I went up over the roof and I tried to catch pull it, but it was in an angle I couldn't, and I knew it was going to bail if I didn't catch pull it. So it bailed damn near into the jaws of my dog, and Aj is not going to let a raccoon get away. She's going to go tooth to tooth and hold it until I either collar choke her off of it or it dies. So I was able to climb down the roof, run around, grab the raccoon, grab her, separate them, and get the raccoon in a cage. And customer was beyond thrilled. Raccoon's gone, and the guy,
Five-star rating.
yeah, the guy before I had let the dog go, he was like, "That little Yorkie's not gonna."
Yorkie.
Yeah, they called her a Yorkie, which I just
Uh,
laughed. I was like, "Yeah, whatever, man, sure."
yeah, sure.
Because I mean, I heard that before, and because it just messed up like his 40-pound pit bull
Yeah.
mix thing, and here's a 15-pound dog going tooth to tooth with it with
Yeah.
hardly a scratch after. And
Oh man.
he was like half in the bag sitting around the pool. He thought it was the coolest thing ever. And
Oh, I'm sure.
the wife was like, "Oh, is your dog okay? Because mine's not." And I was like, "No, mine's fine. She'll be all right." And we left, and as we were leaving, like the whole neighborhood was coming out, like to see
Oh,
what
I'm
the
sure.
noise was. And I just waved. I'm like, "Bye." Like
See you guys.
I'm
Call me
not
if you
here to
need
make
me.
yeah, I'm not here to play show and tell. I got the
Yeah.
raccoon. It's hot. I want to get my dog cleaned off.
Oh man, that's funny. Those is it a trial game you go to with the terriers?
So yeah, so we don't have the hunt testing for Yag Terriers like they do for Draughts and other German breeds here. So the American Hunting Terrier Association puts on 3 trials a year, and then each one's a championship based on the region. So like up north, it's a go to ground championship. Out east, it's a treeing championship, and then
Oh,
down
different like
south, and
divisions almost.
yeah, and then down south in Texas, it's a hog baying championship based on like what they hunt in that region.
Okay.
So we were out in Kentucky. That was the treeing championship. Mouse took Mouse took third in treeing. Aja took second in retrieve. Aja won the lure course, and she placed in a few other events. So we did pretty good. There's a lot of over the last 5 years that I've been going to those terrier trials. Because I've had terriers a lot longer than that, but I just started going to the trials like 5 years ago. Every year there's more and more people, and it's just growing and growing and growing. Like we're having to introduce new judging rules and like kind of plan it better and better, because before it was maybe like a dozen dogs, and now like
Yeah.
it's not unusual to see 50, 60, 70 dogs now, and it's
No way.
insane. Yeah, it's
Wow.
getting really big, and I love it, and the competition gets harder every year, and
Yeah.
I'm loving seeing it grow. And I'm
The
glad
some
that sorry,
go no, go ahead.
no, I do go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna just say make a comment that some of the coolest photos I've seen you post are from the hog
Yeah, so the hog
aspect.
bay. So
That
people
is pretty cool.
a lot of people ask what that is. So what a hog bay is and what a bay is a bay is a terrier's job is to hold whatever it is there, whether they hold it there with their teeth, their strength, or by barking and applying pressure. That their job is done. So there's terriers range. Like you have hard dogs that are just going to lock jaw and hold stuff. And then you have smart dogs that are gonna bark until backup shows up. So what a bay competition is, there's one dog and two dog, and the dogs, you start with a perfect score of 100, and the dog has to be within a certain range of the pig. They have to bark the whole time. They have to maintain eye contact. And every time that dog breaks eye contact, they're docked a point. And
Oh,
then
wow.
if they're every second they're outside like a 10-foot circle of that pig, they're docked a point. And so
Oh,
um, they're and then if they grab the pig and maintain contact for 5 seconds or 10 seconds, they're disqualified. Like they're terriers. They're little. Their job
sure.
is not to catch.
Because these pigs
You
are
know,
good size.
yeah, and every now and then they're usually about 150, 200 pounds. Their job is not to bite and hold a 200-pound pig.
Sure.
But sometimes they're required to put teeth and remind the pig that they're not afraid either. So like
Mm.
they'll get them in the armpits and the ears and like just remind them, they're like, hey, stay put while I bark at you or I will bite you. And
Sure.
that's what they call mixing. And so some dogs have enough presence to just bark and hold it and keep it perfect. And then other dogs, they get rowdy and they like to apply a little bit more pressure than
Yeah.
they need. And
Just a reminder.
yeah, so
Dude, how do you find the time to do all these? I mean, from the photography, the bird aspect, the terriers. I mean, that's pretty freaking cool.
they all kind of work together. Luckily, I'm self-employed, so my boss runs a real loose ship. So uh, I do my own scheduling.
That helps. That helps.
Yeah, I couldn't. It didn't work out as well when I worked for other people, and they
Be
didn't
like, you're going
understand.
where again?
They didn't understand that I needed like 6 months vacation a year. They didn't understand that.
They didn't like that.
No, they didn't like that much.
That's pretty cool, man. That is pretty cool. Well, Tyler, as we wrap this thing up, one of the questions I like to ask every guest, thinking about the new upland hunter out there, maybe someone who's just getting started into upland hunting, what's a piece of advice that you'd give them?
Go hunt with a bunch of people. Don't just hunt with the first people available and call it good. Your experiences are going to vary with everyone that you get out there and hunt with. Go hunt with a bunch of people. Find your circle, and then once you feel comfortable and you feel like the people are emulating the kind of hunting you want to do, stick with them.
Mm,
Yeah, too many people, they just hunt with the first person they meet that'll take them hunting, and then they stick with that, and they don't even know what good is, or they don't know what they're missing because they hadn't seen it. And so I just tell people, go hunt with a bunch of different people.
mm,
Go experience it for yourself. Get in the car. Go meet your internet friends.
mm,
Get out to functions, Quail Forever functions. A lot of those Her Upland functions are great for women. Go to falconry meets. There's just so many different ways to get into hunting now, and I love it. But go sample a few.
mm,
Don't don't take the first one you get to the bank.
mm. Would you add on and also say for the dogs too, hunt over different dogs, hunt over different
Yeah,
breeds,
go
and
see a
just see
bunch.
what?
Go see some horseback trials. Go see a NSTRA trial. Go watch a NAVDA event. All the dogs at those three events alone are like completely different, and you will
Mm,
find what you want. You'll find what you like, and
sure,
until you've seen all the different things, you'll never know truly what you like or what you want. So
that's great,
there's
man.
there's there's a lot of different dog venues, and they should all kind of be explored or at least previewed. Don't take someone else's opinion of them.
Totally. I love that, man. It's great advice. All right, last section here. I'll go over rapid fire questions, and you just kind of give me your off the cuff answer, and we'll bring this thing home.
Okay.
All right, for you, what came first, the dog, the gun, or the bird? And when I say bird, I mean the species you hunt.
Um, Dogs and guns can't kind of came at the same time as a kid, but as far as my adult experiences, the bird came first, and the dog was like not even like a week after. And then through getting more and more into gun dogs, from there I started shooting over young dogs, and then I shoot over my adult dogs too. But it was a way to kind of raise up my falconry dogs and kind of sort
Mm,
through them. It was just gun hunting over 'em.
That's awesome. What gun are you carrying into the field and why?
So for the last few years, my Ruger Red Label 28 is kind of my go-to. If I'm like chucker hunting some gnarly stuff or hunting in some stuff where my gun's gonna get dropped or you're gonna fall, like in rough Mearns country, I'll carry my. I've got a CZ Woodcock that I don't think I've cleaned in like 7 years. That it looks like it was dragged behind my truck, but it still shoots. So I love that 20 gauge CZ Woodcock.
That's awesome. Kind of a sub question to that. If you had to pick one gauge for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I had to pick one, probably 20 just for ammo availability and load versatility. I love my 28s, but I mean, certain parts of the country, you'll never even find 28 in a store if you need
Mm,
it last minute.
mm.
But yeah, probably just a 20 gauge over under.
Okay. All right. This question might be hard for you. This is a very specific question for Tyler Sladen here. What's more enjoyable for you, watching your falcons work or watching your dogs work?
Ooh,
Got to pick one. I know.
ooh. Well, it has to be the dogs, and I'll back that up. Because without the dogs, you would never get the kind of falconry I enjoy, whether it's
Mm,
falcons on sage grouse or goshawks on quail, or even squirrel hunting redtail. Without the dogs, the falconry I enjoy wouldn't exist.
mm.
So it'd have to be the
Okay.
dogs.
All right. You heard it here first. Um, real quick side question: Can your goshawk take down a sage grouse?
If he caught a big bomber, that's gonna be a fight. He could do it.
Okay.
You got to remember they weigh like 6, 7 pounds.
Right.
It's like fighting a hen turkey. So he could do it. He's gonna
Okay.
need. I better be running, and
Okay.
he could get hurt too. A hen all day, but a big
Okay.
bomber is.
Big boy would be a little tough.
You got to remember, I fly a male goshawk too, which is like half the size of a female goshawk. Female
Oh,
goshawk, absolutely.
smaller.
Yeah, males
Oh,
and birds of prey are all smaller.
wow.
Um,
Okay. Did not know that.
Smaller, more wed to feather. They like most males of all bird species prefer feather
Wow.
to fur, and then they're just a little bit because they're smaller. They're more agile and a little bit
Okay.
quicker. The
Dang. Very
females can
cool.
kind of be faster because they're bigger, but
Okay.
they're generally not quicker.
Got it. Got it. All right. A couple more here. Favorite breed of dog besides the ones you own?
I talked about this with my girlfriend last night. I was like, I
I knew
don't.
these are gonna be
I was
tough.
like, because we feed currently on my food bill. We've got short hairs, we've
I
got
don't even want to know
pointers.
your food bill. I
Yeah,
don't
we've
even
got
want to.
short hairs, we've got pointers, we've got setters, we've got a Vizsla. We've
Yep.
had a lot of breeds. We've got Yags. Um, it would probably it'd probably have to either go like Springer or Lab. It would have to be
Springer. Oh wow. Okay.
Springer or Lab. As far as breeds I don't currently own, like I have
Okay.
all the pointing breeds that I like. I currently
Okay.
feed,
Do you have a
and
pointer right now?
we have one male pointer.
Okay.
He's we got one young male pointer. He's about
Okay.
a year old.
Cool. Cool.
He's still in the pointing mosquitoes in the dark and pointing butterflies phases, but he looks like $1,000,000 doing it.
Hey, I mean that's all that counts, right? As long as they look good doing it.
Yeah, he looks like a damn statue, and he's just dripping with muscle, but he's pointing bugs.
Oh, hopefully he grows out of that.
Yeah,
Uh,
he will, but yeah, that's where
yeah.
he's at right now. That's the only experience I can drop. That's the only pointer I've
Yeah.
ever had here.
Okay. Very cool. All right. So lab or a Springer. Very cool. Favorite bird to hunt and why?
Favorite bird. Um, It'd have to be either scalies or chucker.
Okay.
For many reasons. The big wide open country, to be able to the dogs can reach out as far as they want, and then the falconry that comes with them is very hard to like to catch scaled quail or chucker on the wing consistently is a
Mm.
giant ask. And then they always push dogs. Like some of them, they like to run and they like to be ratty, and they're always doing something different. And then sometimes they'll surprise you and hold like $1,000,000, and you'll walk
Mm.
into a 50 bird covey rise at your feet. And I love that about them. They're just so inconsistently consistent. Scalies and Chucker. As for New Mexico and what I hunt the most, Scalies. Close second for quail would be Merns, but
That's awesome.
When I leave, I really enjoy hunting Chucker in other states.
That's awesome. All right, just a couple more here. Best and worst gear purchase for you in the last year or so?
Best gear purchase in the last year. I picked up. So I had one of the original Final Rise vests from Matt. I had like one of the original, like probably 50 or so, and then so he made me a new one, and that was really cool of him. So that my Final Rise vest for sure. Worst gear. When
I say worst, maybe you thought you were going to use this, maybe you thought it was going to be helpful for you, but you're like, you know what, that was pointless.
Oh, I bought one of those things to like step over barbed wire fences,
Oh, yeah.
easier. I hated that thing. The thing is so dangerous because like if it slips, you're gonna like invoke a lot of pain. And it has, and I've ended up ripping more pants using that stupid thing than I would just like crossing barbed wire normally. And then it's like huge. It's not huge, but it's decent in your bag to carry.
Oh man, that thing was pretty popular last season. That was all over the internet.
They must not use it enough, or they must have better fence posts because it pops off sometimes, and like you are going, and then like so if it pops off and you're up high, like now you're
it's
like
not good.
Hamstrung on a 7-strand barbed wire fence 3.5 feet off the ground, and I'm not that tall to begin with. I'm only 5'9", so here I am hung on a fence because I trusted this $11 piece of metal. Yeah, I don't like that thing.
That's hilarious.
When it works, you can feel it when it clicks in good to some fences, but then there's other fences where it like just doesn't.
Pointless.
Never like settles, and then once you get up there and you're on one side of it, you're like, this is gonna fall.
Yeah, this is bad.
You've already committed to it,
right? You can't. There's no going back.
Oh no, I do not like that. I don't. I work up high on like 13-story buildings, and I rappel a lot for work, and I feel way more safe doing that than I do on this piece of thing hanging on a fence. But I don't like that thing.
That's hilarious. Oh, good times. Okay, your go-to hunting snack on a trip?
Ritz peanut butter crackers.
Oh, the pre-made ones, like the little mini ones?
Dude, I live on those things. I'll go to Costco and get like a truck full, and then I'll just keep them. I have an ammo pouch for spent hulls and snacks, and then I got an ammo pouch for hulls. And there's usually always like 1 or 2 of those peanut butter cracker packages in there.
That's awesome. Beverage of choice after a hunt?
Usually just water, but those Body Armors, the sugar-free strawberry banana ones, the strawberry banana ones, the sugar-free ones are it just tastes like a milkshake, and I don't feel as guilty drinking it.
Yeah,
and it's got like a million things that you need to rehydrate with, and rehydrating here is very important.
Absolutely. I was just talking about. I think it was maybe my last guest or a couple guests ago. We were talking about the Body Armor again, and it doesn't feel as heavy as like a Gatorade or something like that. Gatorade feels super, just I don't know, it's super rich.
Well, the plastic in the Gatorade one, it feels like a meal, but even the bottle, you could like put through a windshield, whereas like the Body Armor would break.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh man. All right, last one for you. Another hard one. Out of all your dogs, I know you got a lot, different breeds, for different uses. Who's your favorite dog?
The bird dogs, it would have to be Kira. Kira's like the most wholesale, like she'll find quail on the moon kind of dog. She's gonna go all day. Heat won't stop her. She's not the best retriever, and she might not do as well if it's super dry and not windy, but on the average day, she's gonna find more birds than any dog on the ground. And
wow,
she's been that consistent her whole life. So have to be Kira. Close second would be my little terrier Mouse. She's just my buddy, man. She goes on every hunt.
She looks like a cool dog.
She does a little bit of everything. Like she goes into Home Depot with me. Like she goes to work with me. So, and I swear the only thing stopping her from speaking English is vocal cords. Like she's just like that kind of dog. Whereas like here, if you're not hunting, like even right now, she's laying under a bed or under a couch somewhere.
Sulking.
Yeah, she's like, we're not hunting. All right, I'm gonna go sleep somewhere comfortable, and she will never deny herself comfort.
Tell me when we're ready to go. Well, Tyler, this has been so much fun, man. Thanks for taking the time and unpacking more about your story, your journey, more about falconry. I really appreciate it.
All right, man. I appreciate you guys having me on here.
Absolutely. Where can it's just Tyler Sladen, Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of stuff?
On Instagram, it's Quail _ On Instagram, it's Quail_Hawk, and then Facebook, it's just Tyler Sladen.
Okay, right on. Yeah, I know you do some killer photos and some great shots of things. So I think I'd encourage people to check it out and see some of the work and things you're capturing out there.
All right, man.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, you be good. I hope we can link up this season.
Absolutely, man. It'd be a blast.
All right.
Well, that's a wrap of episode 93 with Tyler Sladen of Quail Hawk. Tyler, thanks so much, man, for taking time. Share your passion, man. It's clearly a passion for falconry, bird dogs, just developing bird dogs. It's been so fun to see over the years just grow for you and what you've invested into your dogs, into people around you. And so thank you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for being able to share that with lots and lots of people in the Upland community. Really, really appreciate it. Hey guys, we got a few days till season. I hope everyone is doing well and just excited heading into a new upland bird season. Whether it's you're traveling to a new state, you're hunting local, whatever it might be safe, have fun. Remember, we get to do this for enjoyment. We get to do this to chase new birds, experience new land, and so enjoy it and just have so much fun. Hey, don't forget to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Share this episode with a friend. Share any episode with a friend on social media and tag the Upland Rookie Podcast. Until then, go put some miles on your boots and follow your favorite bird dog. Take care.